Hey, how's it going, everybody? Eric McGinnis here, and this is kind of like my first little test run podcast deal. I find myself, I'm passionate about a lot of things, right? That most of you guys understand this about me. Comes as no surprise, but and I find myself kind of not having the outlets to like discuss these things that I like and in detail. So yeah, I figured I'd give this a shot. Things like martial arts, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, karate, boxing, the UFC, of course, and music, what's going on in the music world, music industry. All different types of music. I'm into everything. And skateboarding, I hate to call it like action sports, but, skating, surfing, whatever. Scooter riding, I like to scoot and boot all around town. You know how it is. So like different sports like that. I hate to call them sports, but, I love skating, and I'd like to talk about it, on a forum, like a long form, kind of, in a kind of a long form kind of way. So, the martial arts side, I just started training karate. I started training karate when I started jiu-jitsu in like 2009. Ryan Dawson was my first instructor. He was a black belt in Shotokan karate. His wife's from Japan. They had a kid, and they're living over in Japan now. And I talked to him recently. What's up, Ryan? You're the man. But he was a big influence and inspiration to me because he trained jiu-jitsu and karate, and he wrestled in school, and he trained boxing, and he trained Muay Thai, and he trained judo. I believe he's a brown belt in judo. So he trained it all. 2009, the UFC is starting to blow up. Lyoto Machida knocks out Rashad Evans. I believe I was in the sports bar, the Buxton Sports Bar with my buddy Kyle Wilkinson and probably Tebow and Jonathan Palomares. What's up, guys? Miss y'all. But I think we were in the sports bar and we watched Lyoto Machida knock out Sugar Rashad Evans, and that was really the pinnacle. And I was just hooked on martial arts and training. And I've never trained before. I wrestled when I was like 11 to 12 or 10 to 12, 10, 11, 12 years old. I wrestled. And then they didn't have wrestling in my school in Cape Hatteras. Couldn't get a wrestling coach. It's a little barrier island. No one wanted to come teach wrestling, which I thought would have helped me out tremendously through school if I had something like that. But they didn't. My older sister wrestled in high school, and she was awesome. And I remember looking up to her a lot and thinking how cool she was, that she was out there wrestling the boys. And it was just really awesome. Turns out my dad wrestled in high school, middle or high school. I forget which county, or I forget where he was, but he brags, he still to this day has his name on the wall in the school for the fastest pin. So my dad grappled, and my sister grappled, and I grappled. And then I got out of it. No grappling, no jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu wasn't even a thing. And then the UFC came about, and we were watching a lot of UFC on Spike TV. At my buddy Jonathan Palomares' house. Me and Kyle and John and Tebow would watch UFC all the time, and we'd wrestle each other on the carpet, and it was super fun. And then I learned that they got a jiu-jitsu program going on in Buxton. That's my instructor, Ryan Dawson, had it going on. So I remember my first day training. It was at the Fessenden Center. I walk in, they're using the wrestling mats. Stephen Hines is there. I'm like, rad, okay, cool, Stephen. Know him from skateboarding, of course, like we're buddies. I looked up to him, as a Grom coming up skating on Hatteras. Stephen was like, mini ramp ripper, technical, just killer tricks. And he got his tricks from Pudge, of course, but like I would just steal tricks from Pudge and Stephen Hines because they had the best tricks. Very technical, very cool. And I still do tricks from them to this day. So I go in. The only thing I know to do is to shoot a double leg, from wrestling. And Steven guillotines me to death. It was, I've never been choked that hard in my life. Like when do you get choked in your life? I was like, oh my gosh. And, okay, next, try a double leg again. Choked out, guillotined. Try it again, guillotine. And I'm like, okay, I can't do that. What is happening? Holy cow. I was like, wow, Steven was smaller than me. And I was just amazed that I could be choked like that fast. Just so, oh my gosh. I was like, it wasn't like I want to learn how to do that. It was just like, I was just fascinated by it. Like, wow. More, I want to learn how to not let that happen again. I think it was more like, oh man, I'm coming back and that's not going to happen again. I'm going to learn. Okay, I want to learn this jiu-jitsu stuff. And it was more kind of like that, which is anyone who trains with me knows that I still have that spirit, that I'm never letting that happen again kind of spirit. And when it comes to training, so I remember that I was hooked. First move I learned was a trap and roll. And that is what I think everyone should be. Their first lesson in jiu-jitsu should be a trap and roll, their first technique. It was just the magic of jiu-jitsu like hooked me because I was like, you're telling me this person can be on top of me. And if I use the right body mechanics and I trap their arm, trap their leg, and I bridge the right way and I time it right, if I use the right mechanics and leverage, then I can end up from the bottom, I can end up on top of this person. And now I can control them and strike them and win the fight. I was like, this is amazing. I could be flat on my back and I can reverse that situation. In jiu-jitsu, there's always a way, besides checkmate, besides tapping, before checkmate, there's always something you can do to escape. It hooked me and I loved it. And I found myself I was okay in wrestling. Bronze was the best I ever got. Kids were older than me at the time too, so the strength difference between like an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old is actually pretty tremendous. Like that 2 years difference is a big deal back when you're kids. Like a 13-year-old wrestler dude, I remember his name was Shane. I can't believe I remember that. Oh man, he was just a beast. I got to train with him a bunch though, so that was awesome. But he was older than me, and I always felt like he was just stronger, and it was a little frustrating. And wrestling is such an explosive kind of strength. I mean, the rules of wrestling kind of dictate the style of grappling, like it dictates a different approach. Where jiu-jitsu, it's okay to be on your back. You don't have to be stronger than them. You just have to be better than them with the submissions, with the techniques, and it's okay to be on your back. It's a lot of times a good place to be when you're playing guard. So I found jiu-jitsu submission grappling to just be, I was natural at it. I wouldn't say that I'm a natural skateboarder. I wouldn't say that I'm a natural singer at all, or a natural, I'm probably a little bit of a natural musician, but my biggest natural talent that I've seen so far is grappling. I don't know why, but I just have a body type and a mindset, and I've just always been pretty dang good at jiu-jitsu. And it took me a long time to find that. I was 18 years old, 17, 18 years old. And I finally found my natural talent. And I definitely, in my early 20s, I abused that. And I didn't see it to its full potential. But nowadays, I train very hard. And I train the way I'm supposed to. I think that just comes with wisdom and age. 29, guys. I'm turning 30 this year. A lot of people still think, I'm just a little baby, but time flies, and I've realized a lot, and I've grown up a lot, and training has kind of really turned on for me, especially this year, before the outbreak. Yeah, so that was my introduction into like true martial arts. And I started doing karate as well with Ryan Dawson, private lessons and doing karate. And we all did no-gi stuff, all no-gi, mixed martial arts style. And I loved his approach to karate. He would teach you how to throw a boxing hook compared to a karate hook, compared to a Muay Thai leg kick compared to a karate leg kick. There's different types of strikes, and there's different types of stances, a boxing stance, a Thai stance, a karate stance. There's benefits and there's drawbacks to each of them, all of them. But it's my belief that karate is it's the best foundation for your striking. I would say karate is the best foundation for your striking, so that now you can add the good qualities of Muay Thai and boxing, American kickboxing, whatever else. You can add these things to your base of karate, and you will be a very, very elusive, powerful, fast, dexterous striker, whereas the Thai style is kind of more, boxed in, a little more square. The stance it's kind of like put your forehead forward, your chin down, and kind of go in there and swing leg kicks. And when you get leg kicked, you leg kick them back, Karate's much more about not getting hit, using your footwork, using your angles, using your movement and your timing and exploding. And true karate is power and speed. And you mix that in with some Muay Thai and some boxing, and you're good to go. I think that is a very good foundation. Like jiu-jitsu should be, I believe, your foundation for grappling. For grappling, a lot of people have wrestling as their foundation, and that's been proven to be an awesome foundation for grappling. Judo's pretty good. I'd say it probably comes in third. Jiu-jitsu's the best because jiu-jitsu has wrestling. Jiu-jitsu has judo. In your jiu-jitsu training, you should be doing judo. In your jiu-jitsu training, you should be shooting double legs. Like, you shouldn't just start from your butt all the time. Like, there's wrestling, especially in America now. Now that jiu-jitsu has become Americanized, it's an American, submission grappling is an American sport now. And it's not just Brazilian. It's an American sport at this point, and wrestling is woven into jiu-jitsu now in America. You have to wrestle. You have to know wrestling techniques, and you have to have takedowns. If you don't, then you are at a tremendous disadvantage, especially in an MMA fight. If you don't have any takedowns in an MMA fight and all you have is jiu-jitsu, well, all that jiu-jitsu goes out the window if you can't get the fight to the ground. And you don't want to be that cringy dude trying to jump guard in an MMA fight. It's not going to be effective, and it's not going to work out well for you, most likely. Jiu-jitsu has judo in it, and it has wrestling. So if you learn jiu-jitsu and you train your takedowns the way you're supposed to, then jiu-jitsu is going to be your foundation of submission grappling. It has submissions. Wrestling doesn't have submissions. Jiu-jitsu has wrestling, but wrestling doesn't have jiu-jitsu, is my point. Judo is very good, but it's very reliant on the gi, on being able to throw people and grab, and you're just not going to have those grips. A lot of those grips go out the window in an MMA fight. You can't do those techniques the same way. They're not nearly as effective. You have to be able to adapt judo to MMA, to mix it in with everything else. And that's the same that goes for all arts. For karate, you can talk trash on the traditional karate, and I get it, the whole ki energy and the woo-woo stuff where it's all fake, obviously, and people are flopping around. Yeah, that's not good, but true traditional karate is, I think, is very underrated, and there's a lot more value in it than what people give credit, especially angles, footwork, stances, movement, the kicks. I would say the kicks in karate are more varied, wide. You have a wider range of kicks in karate than, like, say, Muay Thai. It has elbows, it has knees, it has punches. Karate has everything, it has all of these aspects to it. Now, not the challenge, but now what to do with it is to mix it in with everything else. I mean, you're not going to be a pure karate fighter going out there and expecting, that's all you need to do to win an MMA fight. No, you take the karate and you take all the principles of it. The thing about karate that most modern martial arts, mixed martial arts gyms, I think a lot of places are missing is the philosophy as well. The mindset, the meditation, and the philosophy of being a martial artist. That these days is lost a lot. It's lost in a lot of the training because it just turns into, well, what's effective and what's not effective, and that's all I want to know. I just want to train hard, I want to roll, I want to spar, I want to get a workout in, I want to win my fight. I don't need to know anything else. I just want to come in and get the work in and get better and improve my technique and improve as a fighter. And I only need to know, like, what's effective. And that's fine. It obviously works for a lot of people, but you're missing out a lot of the benefits of the philosophy of the traditional martial arts that I find very, very beneficial. Very beneficial. The mindset, controlling your thoughts and emotions, and breathing, meditating, visualizing, how to carry yourself, how to conduct yourself as a martial artist. These things are just intricate, just a part of your karate training. And I've taken that and I really want to implement that into my jiu-jitsu instruction. One day I'd like to teach karate and modern style of karate. I want to take the karate and show the traditional parts, but also morph it into a more modernized form of fighting and self-defense that can work in a fight or an MMA match. You just adjust a couple of things and karate is awesome. If you just adjust a couple of things about it and you integrate it with the rest of your martial arts training. Whereas some sports like judo, unfortunately, there's a lot you have to alter about judo in order to make it effective. The grips, I mean, there's a lot of the principles are going to serve you very well, but I would say wrestling, you probably have to alter less. In wrestling, you just got to get used to people trying to choke you. So you get used to people trying to choke you while you're wrestling, and wrestling, you don't have to adjust too much. Judo, you have to adjust kind of a lot, but it's still very beneficial. You need to train your judo. And jiu-jitsu, if you train no-gi and you do takedowns and you do just submission grappling, no-gi submission grappling, then all you got to adjust is strikes. Add the strikes in. Add the striking in, and all your grappling skills are going to be there. So now you just got to train for striking. If you're a really good grappler right now, no-gi grappler, that's going to serve you very, very well in an MMA fight. Karate will serve you very, very well. You just have to adjust a couple of things, you know? So I find a lot of benefits in karate, and I hope to one day, you know, have a gym and teach it and teach jiu-jitsu, and that would be very rewarding for me. But so that's what I've been doing, using my time, you know, here at the with this outbreak to start some karate. So I've been watching Karate Combat. If you guys haven't heard about Karate Combat, you need to go on YouTube and check it out. If you're a fan of martial arts, you're a fan of the UFC, check out Karate Combat on YouTube. It's Boss Rutten. It's his thing. He's involved with some other people, and the latest one, I think they finally have gotten the rules pretty figured out. Still needs some mild adjustments, but the first one, you know, there was no hooks, no hook punches, only straight punches and ridge hand punches. Ridge hand it's like a strike in karate. I don't know the Japanese name quite yet. I'm still early in my training, but it's like if you make a hammer fist, like instead of throwing an overhand right and connecting with your knuckles, you throw like an overhand right and you connect with like a hammer fist style, you know, with like your ridge hand. And it's a really devastating strike. And Boss Rutten has a YouTube video on how to throw it, the ridge hand strike. And it's actually very effective. And that's the other thing about karate. There are some very cool strikes in there that are not taught in like boxing or Muay Thai. That ridge hand strike, the back fist. Dude, I have seen the back fist work in MMA. I have seen it be ineffective. It's like a jab. It's like a flicking back fist. And I've seen it connect and pop someone in the nose. Are you going to knock somebody out with just like a backhand, a back fist? Probably not. But it's something to keep them guessing, you know. It keeps them guessing and pops them real quick with a backhand. They didn't expect it coming. It gives them another thing to think about, you know. The ridge hand strike. There's a bunch of cool things. Redirection. It's called uke. Uke means to redirect or receive or redirect, and that's those down blocks and up blocks and this and that. Hand fighting and striking is a big thing. Go watch Conor McGregor. He's constantly hand fighting from a southpaw stance. He's trying to hand fight, and he's trying to redirect. I mean, what is a parry? You're parrying a punch in boxing or Muay Thai. That's just a catch and redirect. It's a quick little thing. In karate, you can build on that kind of redirection. In boxing, there's a thing called a hanger where you throw your arm way up high and tuck your chin behind your shoulder, so that an overhand right, and you step in while they're throwing an overhand right, and it just kind of intercepts it and smothers their overhand right. That's just an upper block in karate. So there's actually a lot of benefits to it. And so back to Karate Combat, Boss Rutten's thing. It's really cool. They're still working on it. It's a pit, right? It's a square, and it has slopes on the sides, like an incline. So it's not a cage, it's a pit. They call it the pit, and it's all matted so that, if you get cornered, you can go up the incline, but, you can't like use the cage. The rules are full contact karate. They implemented hooks and ridge hands and straight punches. Still in the latest one, still no uppercuts. That I think needs to change. You need to allow uppercuts. That would make it perfect. But why can't you uppercut in full contact karate? I don't know why, but no elbows standing. But you can do all the different punches except for uppercuts, which is weird. So they need to fix that. But they're working on it. They've gotten better and better each show. Kicks, full-on kicks. You can kick whatever. And there's takedowns. Karate has a lot of takedowns. That's the other thing. Go watch Machida. Type in Machida takedowns if you want to see some traditional karate takedowns in the UFC. And karate's takedowns are more like foot sweeps and trips. And there's also some like upper body takedowns. So there's upper body slams, basically upper body takedowns, trips, and sweeps. And that's my meta game for takedowns. That's what I do. I will rarely shoot a double. I'll shoot a single, but I will do upper body takedowns and foot sweeps and stuff, just like karate. All that is legal in karate, even in kumite karate, point fighting. If you take someone down and then you land a strike real quick, and it's called an ippon, and that's 3 points. So most points you can get is 3. You get 3 points ippon for taking them down and striking them, and you get 3 points for landing a head kick. So takedowns are a part of karate. And there's some really good takedowns in karate and foot sweeps and stuff. So karate combat, you're allowed to take them down and ground and pound for 5 seconds. And if you can finish them in 5 seconds, cool. If not, they'll stand you back up because they want it to be they want it to be striking a karate match. It's not an MMA match, it's karate. So they'll stand you back up. So you're trying to land as many punches and get as much damage off in the 5 seconds as you can before they stand you up. I haven't seen a lot of guard work yet in the once people get taken down, the karate guys need to address that. They're like a fish out of water on the ground. It's kind of terrible. They get smoked. But what I've seen is the up kicks be very effective in holding someone off from punching you. Because if you can just up kick like a maniac at someone trying to punch you, and you're just trying to land heels on their face and kick like a wild man, it actually has been very effective. So what I've seen the karate guys do once they get taken down is just start spamming up kicks. And it's really hard to deal with a bunch of up kicks coming your way. So I would like to train more up kicks as well. It actually seemed very effective. I mean, you got people throwing legs and heels and feet at you while you're trying to close the distance and get on top of them and land punches. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to deal with people's legs. Anyone who does jiu-jitsu knows that. It's difficult to get around someone's legs. For you guys who don't train, come on into 3rd Street when we open back up and come try to get past my legs. You're going to find it's called passing the guard. The goal is to get past someone's legs, to get to their hips and control them and get on top, chest to chest. Now you're on top of them, pinning them down, controlling them. Now their legs can't fight you anymore. That is extremely difficult to do to someone who knows who has a good guard or who's throwing up kicks at you. It's very difficult to get around someone's legs. And anyone who trains knows that's the case. Except for me, I get around all y'all's legs. All right, I pass all y'all's guards, and yeah, that's right. But so it's a very cool, and they got a cool theme. They got a cool arena, the pit. It's very unique. The striking is high level karate, full contact, and they're getting the rules dialed in, and they got really cool, unique themes for each one. Like one they did like an 80s style Jean-Claude Van Damme at the top of the One World Tower Trade Center, the One World Trade Center. It's the tower that replaced the Twin Towers, the One World Trade Center. They were at the top of that, and they did like this 80s theme type square off. It was really cool, like kickboxer thing. And then they did a Street Fighter video game theme, which I thought was cool. It's kind of corny, but you see what they're doing. They got these cool themes going on, and once they add uppercuts, I think it'd be perfect. The only thing is, guys get knocked. This is my only problem. Fighter safety, the uppercuts and fighter safety. In MMA, if you get dropped, like you get knocked, damn near knocked out, you get dropped cold, flash knockdown, and some dude gets on top of you and pounds you out, the fight's over. This, they can only pound you out for 5 seconds. So you see guys get completely dropped, pounded on for 5 seconds, and then they stand them back up. Whereas in MMA, the fight would be finished. If you gave it a couple more seconds, the fight would be over. But now these guys are stood up, and I've seen it happen 2 or 3 times now. Flash knockdown, pounded out, the ref stands him up, and now he's completely out of it, and he gets knocked out cold, hard. Because in an MMA fight, it would have been stopped. So what they need to do is these flash knockdowns, guys getting pounded out, the fight's over. You got to stop the fight. I don't want to see someone get flash knockdown, and it would be a TKO in the UFC, but because 5 seconds pass, they stand him back up for him to get knocked out brutally. I don't want to see that. Someone gets knocked down and pounded out for 5 seconds, TKO, fighter safety, and implement uppercuts. And I think Karate Combat would be really, really, it is really, really rad. But so check it out, and check out Boss Rutten's Karate Combat on YouTube. They have several shows. If you're bored and you like martial arts, you like MMA and stuff, if you're bored, they have several events. You can go to their YouTube page, and they got a bunch of different events. And if you want to see what karate is like, and you see the people who kind of adapted their karate for MMA, and you see how well they do. They have their hands up, for instance. Their hands are up, and their chin is tucked. And you see the more traditional point sparring karate guys with their hands down and their chin high. And you see the benefits and the drawbacks of karate. And how it can be very effective in MMA if you just make some adjustments. So moving on, UFC 249 was canceled. Kind of not surprised. I didn't see it coming. I'm not surprised that it got canceled. Dana White is going ham trying to make it happen, and Khabib pulls out. Let's talk about Khabib. He goes to he didn't know the location. It's not Khabib's fault. He didn't know the location. They're telling him here, they're telling him there. He flies overseas to Abu Dhabi, and then he goes to Russia because they're locking down the borders, and it's a big thing. Turns out they were gonna just have the fight in California, but then it gets canceled anyways. But I will just say one thing. My stance at the time was like, okay, Khabib doesn't want to do the fight. It's a pandemic. He can't fly. He'd have to fly private. Can't get good training, this and that. It's not Khabib's fault for this. You can't expect him to fight during this, and it's okay. He pulled out. But also, I think the weight cut was a big factor in that decision as well. I think with everything going on, it was hard for him to get good training, and by flying and changing locations, changing countries, and it was just stressful. And I think the weight cut would have been, he's had issues cutting weight in the past. I think the weight cut would have been almost impossible for him. So I also think that's me speculating. I have no proof. Just going off of history and his weight cutting issues, I wouldn't be surprised if making the weight was a big concern for him. It probably was a big concern for him to make that weight during all this craziness. So am I saying Khabib's running? No. But Ferguson's a scary mofo. So then they booked Ferguson Gaethje. And I saw it going two ways. Gaethje knocking him out because Ferguson gets hit a lot, or Gaethje moving backwards because Ferguson likes to pressure. So Ferguson likes to move forward constantly and be in your face. It's harder to knock someone out when you're moving backwards. And Ferguson, he's been dropped a lot, and he's shown that he recovers quickly. He gets up and he keeps fighting, and he gets right back in your face. And we've seen Justin fade. Justin faded against Eddie Alvarez and against Poirier. He admitted that he only has 18 minutes in him or something along those lines. So would we see a different Justin Gaethje under that kind of pressure, under that Tony Ferguson in your face, constantly coming forward, just cutting you up, just nightmare, boogeyman, El Kukui, would we see Gaethje knock him out? Or does Gaethje need to be coming forward to have that same kind of power and knockout ability? Who knows? That's actually really interesting. Got canceled. Now it's rebooked for May 9th. So that's super cool. I am excited to see some UFC. And hopefully May 9th, it gets locked in and it comes to fruition. It's going to be an awesome card. I will talk about the rest of the card maybe another time, but right now just Ferguson Gaethje. Now Gaethje has another 2 weeks to prepare his cardio, and get ready. But I don't know if that's really going to affect his fighting style. Is he, even with 2 weeks to get his cardio up, does that change his fighting style? Is he going to fight at a slower pace to maintain that pace for 5 rounds? Or is he going to go out there and do what Justin Gaethje does and fight hard for 15, 18 minutes and then start to fade, Either finish or get finished is his mentality, and it's why he's awesome. So is the 2 weeks really that much of a benefit to Gaethje is what I'm wondering, because I just don't know if it's going to affect his approach to the fight. Is he really going to be able to last longer? We'll have to see. Or does this help Ferguson? Now, Tony was preparing for a grappling match, I'm sure. He was preparing his guard, his Darce. He was preparing for Khabib. Totally different. And now I could have seen that catching Tony off guard. Now he knows he's in for a striker. Justin Gaethje's going to strike with him. And he knows exactly he can take these 2 weeks to prepare for a striker now. Whereas before, he was preparing for Khabib, for a grappler. And Gaethje might have got the jump on him. But I tend to lean that this actually helps Ferguson more. Because now Ferguson can game plan and get his striking, hit some, get ready for that. And I just don't know if the cardio is really going to change the way Gaethje fights. I think Gaethje goes and burns it, runs it on red, and burns it on both ends and leaves it all out there. And I think even when he's in shape, he only has 18 minutes. So, I just don't know if his cardio is going to be that much better for 5 rounds given 2 weeks. I think he can get his weight down, get sharp, get in. You can use the 2 weeks to just get sharp, get your timing sharp and stuff, But I don't know if 2 extra weeks is going to change how long Gaethje lasts in the fight. I could just be totally wrong, but I think how long he lasts in the fight is more based on his approach to the fight, the way he fights. And I just don't know if the way he fights is going to change that much based on 5 rounds. But I think the way Ferguson is going to approach this is definitely going to change. And I would like to see Tony go for a takedown every now and then. I would love that. He's been wrestling, grappling, doing his thing for Khabib. I'm sure he's been wrestling a lot. Gaethje is a wrestler, has fantastic takedown defense, but I would love to see Tony go for a takedown, go for a snap down, try to mix it up, and make a scramble and maybe catch a submission in a scramble. So I would like to see Tony mix it up and have Justin thinking, So that's that. Tony and Gaethje. I'm super excited. Tell me what you guys think. I am putting my money on Ferguson, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gaethje got the knockout or TKO in the early rounds. But I think Ferguson is going to put a pressure on him that he has not experienced, and if he mixes it up with some grappling, he'll keep Justin guessing and threatens with some submissions, and keeps the pressure. I think Gaethje has shown that he tends to fade, and I don't know what kind of fighter he will be under that pressure going backwards. So let me know what you guys think. Moving on. How long have we been going? 42 minutes? Okay. Jeez. Time flies when you're podcasting. That's crazy. Let's move on to some skateboarding, right? Clive Dixon rides for Birdhouse, and he dropped a part, I believe, on Thrasher's YouTube. I'm going to pull it up right now. Creep. It's Creep. So Radiohead's Creep is playing and in the background, and it's gnarly. If you haven't seen any of Clive Dixon's previous stuff, he is just gnarly. He did the board slide on like those giant towers, the water towers, on that rusty stair set there. It was insane. Clive Dixon might be one of my favorite street skaters. I just freaking love that punk rock and roll attitude that wearing black and listening to metal and long hair and just middle fingers, and I love that attitude and style and approach, and he is gnarly, like one of the gnarliest street skaters out right now. I don't watch that much street skating, but this really blew my mind. So check out Clive Dixon's Creep. Birdhouse is killing it with just an awesome crew, an awesome team. Tony, I think Tony just really knows what he's doing, man, when he's picking his riders. And Clive Dixon. So I love those guys who have that metal attitude in skating, like David Gonzalez. His part, he rides for Globe. I rode for Globe a little bit, but he's sponsored. He's like a pro for Globe, and his most recent part, probably late last year or something. David Gonzalez, it was killer stuff, dude. Go watch his part on YouTube, his Thrasher part. And I felt like it went underrated a little bit. I felt like it went kind of under the radar. Milton Martinez got Skater of the Year, and his part was freaking insane. But David Gonzalez's part was sick. And he's another one of those metal kind of tight jeans, black long hair, black clothes, like, yeah, fucking devil horns kind of skater. And I just love that style. I don't know why, but huge trick of note for David Gonzalez was his huge backside flip off of this, like, whatever, off of this overpass into a giant, like, embankment. And it was just awesome. It's his ender. So Milton Martinez did a frontside flip into a big bank. And Milton Martinez is amazing too. My favorite street skaters, Clive Dixon, David Gonzalez, Milton Martinez, David Gravett, and Kevin Backel. So three Creature guys. I love the Creature guys. Kevin Backel is insane, young, like Swedish or Norwegian kid. I don't know. He's on Creature, and he is insane, and he is crushing it. Milton Martinez is crushing it. So that's my little skate video review for the week. It's Clive Dixon's part, and yeah, go check it out, man. Go check it out on YouTube. Surfing, moving on to surfing. They're like arresting people for surfing. This shutdown. It's got the government going kind of crazy, going kind of power hungry. I don't know how you're spreading a virus or bothering anybody by being, out in the ocean, catching some waves, especially while the water's still very cold. You're not harming anybody. You're just trying to, enjoy life a little bit during these crazy times. You're just trying to go out and get some sun and ride some waves and connect with nature a little bit. Mind your own business is what you're trying to do. And they're arresting people. I mean, you can't do it. You can't go to the beach. I get it. We can't congregate. You can't say, you can't have a bunch of people at the beach. I get it. But I say open up the beach to surfers, to swimmers, it's easy. Open the beach and say you're not allowed to be in groups. If you go to the beach, you all need to be standing apart from one another. You need to stay away from one another. So you're allowed to run. You're allowed to, like, if you want to go do activities at the beach, okay. But you can't just go to the beach and be in giant groups. I get it. It's tricky, but look. I mean, you got to. You can't just infringe on people's freedoms and rights. Like, it's a fine line. It's an epidemic. It's a pandemic. Like, it's crazy, and we all need to do the right thing, of course, and stay inside and stay home. But look, if you're allowed to go for a walk in the park, that's not illegal, right? If you want to go for a walk downtown, you're allowed to do that. I mean, you're not allowed to congregate. It should be the same thing at the beach. If you're allowed to go for a walk on the beach, you're allowed to go out and surf, as long as it's not 25 of you sitting all on top of each other. I mean, spread out. It's very easy to stay, many yards away from another person while you're out surfing. It's very easy. It's actually kind of hard to be right on top of somebody. You have to you have to get on top of somebody. It's easy to kind of keep your distance out in the water. Skate parks too. I'm very proud that our city and county or whatever hasn't shut down the skate parks. It's easy to keep distance from people outside. You're outdoors at a skate park. It's so easy. Tuesday, we were all there. It was a magical day, dude. Beautiful sky this last Tuesday. April, it is the 16th, so it must have been the 14th. April 14th, dude. That was a wonderful day. I skated for like 3 hours. It was just perfect weather. Good music. Was some dudes were there playing some Rancid and Propaganda and some punk rock that I like, and it was just one of those magical sessions where a bunch of strangers and we're all just there enjoying life and riding, and everyone's ripping and the vibes are good and the weather's good. And I haven't skated Greenfield that good like ever. I was having a blast, man, the time of my freaking life. And we're all keeping our distance well enough, dude. We're outdoors. We're all stand. I mean, in skateboarding, I'm not going to come stand like right next to you. There's a bunch of strangers out there, but we're all vibing together, cheering each other on, hollering for one another. And everyone was like hitting sick tricks. And I even took my pads off and skated some street for a little bit, about an hour. I was flipping my board around, hitting some ledges. Might see Padless Eric here coming up soon. Not that I'm any good, but skating padless. But my point being is like, come on. People are just trying to go surf. Don't arrest them. Don't give people tickets for surfing. That is outrageous. That is power tripping. That is just, it's damn near unconstitutional. Like you can't do that. Let people find some sense of escape, some sense of like just caring for their mental health, getting outside, getting some sun, getting some waves, some sense of just like, I can get through this, we can get through this. Like I'm just going to surf for a little bit. Like that's what skating has been for me, man. When I skate, I don't think about this coronavirus or this nonsense or any of the world. I escape. That's what people need, man. People need it. And it's not harming anybody. If anything, it's just harming the people like, oh, I want to go to the beach. You let the surfers go to the beach, but I can't go with my kids. No, you can't. You can't go with your kids and just hang out at the beach. Only like activities only. You can't congregate. You can't go with you and your friends to the beach. You can go for a walk on the beach. You can go for a jog, but you can't just go with you and your friends and family and all congregate and then everyone's all packing the beaches out. But for people to go surf, there's no one spreading, dude, nobody's spreading coronavirus by paddling out and catching some waves in the morning. So they were protesting up in Atlantic Beach. A bunch of surfers all congregated. Now you got them congregating, breaking the protocols here, the guidelines, the 6 feet guidelines. Why are they congregating? Because they're protesting. The First Amendment protects religion, protects speech, and protects your right to protest. And they protested and they said, this is a bunch of bullshit and we want the beaches open so we can surf. And guess what? The world, most of the time, if you had to guess, you'd be like, oh yeah, they got arrested and tickets and for protesting. And yeah, you can't do that. Actually, they open up the beaches for like recreational activities like that. Their protest and their petition, I signed the petition. It worked and they opened up the beaches to stuff like that. And now you're allowed to surf up there. So that's really good news. And I hope I'm correct on that. I haven't fact checked that. This is word of mouth, by the way. I saw them protesting. I signed the petition. And then I heard today that they removed the ban on surfing. Hopefully they forgive those kids who got tickets for surfing recently, if they're going to do that. So that's a win. That's a win for the people. And I hope Wrightsville and maybe Carolina Beach follows suit so that we can go surf. So lastly, our for the music section here, Mr. John Prine has passed away to the coronavirus last week. And it's very, very sad. His wife caught the coronavirus, and she seemed to be fine. And he has fought cancer twice and had parts of his lungs removed, if I recall. And so he was just, uphill battle, and it didn't work out, and he's passed away and left us. But his music, he's a Grammy winner. His music is eternal, His music will live on, and his music will probably outlive most of us. So, what an amazing songwriter. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm the biggest John Prine fan. I just discovered him really in the past year. It was probably the past year. I heard his songs come on like the Penguin radio station, and his songs would come on my Spotify playlists. And I just thought, he the songs I heard he sounded older and witty, very witty lyrics, kind of clever, quirky lyrics, and beautiful songs. And, the voice of an older man. And I dug him. I thought it was cool. I like, I've had a friend say that they don't like John Prine because they not the biggest John Prine fan because of his voice. I don't mind people with bad singing, quote unquote bad singers. I think they're rad because I am a quote unquote bad singer. And I think it's rad when people just pour their heart and soul out, whether they got a good voice or not. I think it's rad, and I think his voice is fine. I think he has a really good voice. Actually, if you listen to his old stuff, he has a good voice. You get older, and your voice starts cracking, and you can't sing like you used to. So, very, very kind of brilliant songs. So then I go on this John Prine rabbit hole. Just listen to as many John Prine songs as I could. This is before he passed. This is when he got diagnosed. I just go on this, all right, I know a couple of his songs, so I just dug into it. And he is brilliant. He's not just like, quirky, folky singer-songwriter, old guy. He's a Grammy winner. He's brilliant. He's beloved. He was on the Colbert Show, and musicians just love this dude. And I was, there's multiple goosebumps moments during some of his songs. While I was listening, I was just like, wow, power, and that charm that he has in writing and very unique lyrics. And man, that's what music's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you feel something. Whatever it is, feel good, feel sad, feel whatever. You're supposed to feel something while you're listening to music. And John Prine has many, many songs that make you feel something. And in a very powerful way. That's when I go down the weird, trippy, cosmological rabbit hole of like, maybe magic is real. There's a magic in music. There's a power. These sounds, these frequencies, you can hear someone, you can hear it in the song, and you can feel it. The song will make you feel. And there's something like tremendously powerful that is like, I believe, linked to just, it's linked to a fundamental, like, cosmological, like universal truth. There's something about music that is linked to a universal truth, is what I think. And it's all the more true when you get those goosebumps moments while listening to an artist, when it makes you shiver or cry or laugh or cheer. There's a power. Johnny Cash had power. He is a wizard, dude. I'm telling you, it's like a warlock casting. It's like somehow casting this magical spell that is a song, and you get entranced with it, and you feel it, and it touches your soul. that there's something there. Why frequencies even, why we hear the frequencies we hear. There's these, for some reason, these specific frequencies make scales, a major scale and a minor scale, and the wavelengths vibrate a certain way, and you have these different intervals of frequencies, and you combine them together and it makes harmony, and there's dissonance, and it all provokes emotion in us for some reason. And I believe it directly is, it's music. And if you play the major scale here, I think the major scale here is the same across the galaxy. You go across the galaxy, I bet they have their own frequencies and their own scales and their own, they've discovered the universal truth of music. Just like mathematics is a universal truth. 2 + 2 is 4. Why is that the case? Well, it's just the law of the universe. It's the law of the universe. It's the truth of the universe, is that we're built on mathematics and physics, and you can show these things and prove these things with math. And I think just as much as math is the truth of the universe, so too is the power of music. And John Prine is very, very powerful in that regard. So, what a musician, and I wish I would have become a fan of his sooner. But my mom asked me to learn a Paradise by John Prine because she grew up in Muhlenberg County, is where she was born, and that's Kentucky, Western Kentucky, and that's what the song's about. It's about Muhlenberg County, Paradise. And so I went and learned that John Prine song before he passed for my mom, and it's a very, very good song. It's a great song. And so rest in peace, Mr. Rest in paradise, I should say, Mr. John Prine, and thank you so much for all your contributions. And that's it, guys. Sorry to end on such a deep note there. I'm a little nervous about releasing this. I won't lie. I've never done a podcast, and I'm doing it by myself, so I'm kind of ranting here. And it could be awkward, and it could be bad. And I don't know if anybody is going to listen to this. It's like my mom and sisters are going to listen to it. But I don't know who's going to be interested or listen. But if you made it this far, thanks for hanging out. I hope it was cool. I want to get some friends on so we can talk. I would love to have Jake Throne on so we can have Jake Throne talk about his album of the week or music video or song or whatever. Just give us a music breakdown, because he's just Jake is a true music connoisseur of alternative music, and he's shown me a lot about punk rock, and I'm sure he's shown a lot of people their favorite bands, and that's what he does, man. He shows you some rad stuff, and it becomes your favorite thing. So he knows a lot about music. He's a big fan of music, and he follows it. And I'd love to have Jake on to talk about, just educate some people. Just talk to us about what you're listening to, man. Or if anybody else wants to come and hang out and have a talk, and we can do a little podcast. But this is it. This is my millennial skateboarding, UFC, martial arts, and what was the other one? Music podcast, and whatever else in life we feel like talking about. So thanks, guys. I will see you later.